Welcome back. It's me, 8-time figure Olympia champion, Cydney Gillon. And we're in the thick of my full retirement. So we're going to go over my number one question, what's been going on, and am I going to do wellness? Now, before we start talking about all the wellness stuff, we're going to go back through just kind of updates on what life has been like post-retirement for those who are nervous about stepping away from the stage or coming back to the stage, things like that, and just generally what it looks like for me stepping away from the stage and if there are really changes or not, which I'm sure you've been able to see on Instagram. So I'm gonna get my little notes up because a lot has happened. We are now almost 10 weeks post-show. So the main thing is I wanted to, one, life has been life. And so there's a lot been going on, a lot of business stuff, traveling and everything. So I'm finally at a point where I can sit down and get this film for y'all. So that's why we're a little bit late. Lots been going on, but I also wanted to wait a little bit so I can get a fuller perspective of what it actually looks like for me. Like telling somebody what retirement feels like after a week or two, not necessarily the same as what it's gonna feel like after you've already been like 3 months into it and then kind of set all your habits and everything like that, or stuck with your habits. So we'll go over that. Let me scroll down and find where I put all of my information because there's a lot that I put. Hold, please. Here we go. All right. So, first things first. When I decided to retire, I started putting together my workout plan like we discussed before. So, in that workout plan, like we talked about, the goal was to let my legs be able to do what they want to do. My favorite body part to train is legs and lower body. I haven't been able to train glutes. There have been preps where we didn't train glutes at all. There have been preps that when we train them, I would do 4 exercises once a week, giant set. Like, but it has to be all together, no rest, basically. Just keep it moving so that my glutes didn't grow that much. So that's what life has been like for the last almost 10 years. Yeah. So it's definitely been a change to be able to just let them do whatever they want to do without being cautious of, oh, my legs can grow too big, or is this going to do this? So that's probably been the number one change that has just allowed me to just be free. And that's probably the best part. I don't mind the eating. I don't mind nutrition plans. I don't mind eating the same things every day. I don't mind training. I don't mind the regimen. I love all of those things. They fit my personality perfectly. So I didn't change anything with my diet plan. I made sure that I still eat 6 meals a day. I still drink 2 gallons of water a day. I still supplement with my Evigen products every single day to make sure I'm still just a healthy person. I think that's what a lot of people forget about when they retire or when they step away from the stage. Like, your goal should still be to be a healthy person, a functional person, especially as we age throughout these next years, especially with like all the toxins that are in our environment. Now, you got to do everything you can on this end and what you can control so that way you actually have a life when you're 60, 70, 80, ideally 90 to 100. So if I'm thinking more so foresight, like I'm very big on delayed gratification, like that doesn't bother me anymore because I've already been doing the whole delayed gratification thing, the extreme patience thing my entire life. So it's pretty much ingrained. It's not a habit that I would switch out of. So that's probably been the easiest transition, is not changing that at all. I still wait for my coach to send me my diet plans and everything like that. Now, training-wise, training program I went to, I'm always used to a lot of volume, and by that I mean I generally do, now my leg days I was constricted. So my leg days I would only do like 6 total exercises. I would do 3 for hamstrings, 3 for quads. Now I don't have to do that as much because I'm trying to incorporate different movements I haven't been able to utilize, like your sumo deadlifts and your heavy hip thrusts. And that requires me to kind of put them in a specific training structure so that I'm getting the most bang for my buck. So I put those and front load those at the beginning of my workout. And I've been running this program now, so we're at almost 10 weeks out. So let's just say 10 weeks. And the leaps in progress from week to week to week have been pretty cool to see, because it's been like we'd at least add, not my sumo deadlifts. My sumo deadlifts, I max out those quick. I just kind of look for better quality reps and more reps at that weight load I max out at. Because the thing too is when you're going more heavy weight load, for me, I'm not like, oh, I need to be the biggest girl in the world. I want to challenge myself, but not challenge my joints. So a lot of the times I make sure that if that weight is good, I know it's enough to be like, okay, I can push this. It's still taxing my nervous system. It's still giving me everything I need. But if my joints start hurting, that's when I'm going to cap it at. I'm going to cap it right there and leave it right there and work within that range. So that way I'm not adding unnecessary stress to my joints. And eventually I'll probably push past that once my joints catch up to the weight load that I'm able to lift. And that's the main thing, is making sure that all those things go together so that you're not causing issues you didn't have before. So that's the main thing. Okay, so we went over the volume. So now when I programmed it's roughly 8 to 9 exercises every single leg day. So I've gone to 2 lower body days, 1 upper body day, because I only need to train 3 days a week. That gets me all I need to do. So I get the bulk of everything done in those days. So Monday's legs and glutes. Wednesday is upper body. So that's going to be back, shoulders, 1 exercise for chest. And Friday follows up again with legs and glutes. And that's been working really well so far. And the progress has been really great. I've maintained all of my upper body strength. I will say the addition of my creatine, my EVP 3D, and my EVP AQ, I put those together every Monday and Wednesday. I would say that has been by far the biggest change, because I'm very creatine sensitive too. So it's very, it works really well in my system. Like, I will get stronger. It's like a feeling of you can lift the world without it being like so taxing. Like, you recover quickly. You can push the weight quickly. You can go for longer. All those things happen for me, and that's great, especially for growth. And that's probably why I've been able to see so much growth overall and get the pumps I've been able to get is from the supplements, of course, with the training, combining with the training and the diet. So that's been the lifting process so far. I've enjoyed it. My body loves it. I will say I have substantially less back pain. The key thing for me is my muscle is not going to disappear because it's not fake muscle. So that is a win. Like, I would have to actively undereat, over cardio to lose any muscle that I had on my frame from the times I was competing until now. So it's not something I worry about in terms of shrinking, and nor do I want to shrink. That's never been the goal at all. Okay, so let's scroll forward. What I also noticed was when I was the first couple of weeks, I was doing 2 glute centered and then 2 hamstring, but it was only leaving space for like 3 quad exercises. And I was like, I don't want to be the girl who has big hamstrings and big glutes and not have any quads. Granted, that wouldn't happen, but I wanted to make sure that it kind of balanced out more. So since I was doing the glute focus things, which touch hamstrings anyway, I decided that I was going to go ahead and add in another quad exercise and take out a hamstring, because it's getting touched anyway. And my hamstrings are very easily to grow. Like, my whole legs grow quickly, but my glutes, the whole posterior chain, that's why my back is the way it is. The whole thing, not sure why, the whole thing back there grows fast without like that much effort. So if you put the effort in, it's really gonna grow. So that's when I changed, added in my extra quad exercise. So that way I'm getting more blood in the front too, so that those quads stay just as juicy as the back. But also for functionality, I don't want my hamstring so strong that it kind of pulls on my joints from behind. So I want everything to be as balanced as possible on that lower body. All right, so we got this. Now, what I found was in the beginning, it was wild to see like just how like the smaller muscles kind of play a part into new movements. So I knew I'd be sore in the beginning. I'm no longer really sore. It takes so much effort for my glutes to be sore. Like, it takes a lot. It doesn't matter how much weight I lift. I found that if I'm doing glutes, it has to be heavy and high reps for me to kind of feel anything after that time. Which, at the end of the day, just because I'm feeling sore or something like that doesn't mean I'm not growing. Doesn't mean I'm growing, rather. So it doesn't really matter as much. But for me, I like to feel like I've done something. So I noticed that. But that's why I also, like, when people see how I train, it's not because I was weak. It's because I didn't need to lift heavy weight loads to get the same reaction that other people need to get. I just don't have to do that. And so what I found is there was also another reason for that is my body finds lifting heavier weight easier. So the same thing happened with my mom. We were talking about it. It's not, lifting heavy is like, you go out there, you get it. I guess my muscle fibers are very much like fast twitch muscles. That's just how my build is. So lifting for power and strength, I can do that. Lifting for endurance, that is a whole other thing and way more challenging for my body. So I think that's why I was still able to grow even when I was doing higher reps. But it helped kind of delay the growth or kind of just not have it be as much growth. So that's what I noticed. But in the beginning too, with the hip thrust, since I have lordosis, I think the hip thrusts have been paramount for just my spine health in terms of getting me to a place of functionality. And that's my whole purpose now, is how I function as a person and as a person who still wants to move like an athlete for the rest of my life and with my kids and everything like that. So what I found is like when we were first doing my hip thrust and even like my cable kickbacks, the amount of, well, it also has to do with ovulation and everything like that too. So when I ovulate and when I have my period coming up, I get lower back pain that kind of gets real tight around the spinal erectors. But you combo that with having those muscles actually have to fire for the first time in a long time. That was probably the biggest adjustment. And so what I looked for, instead of adding weight, I didn't add weight until there was no low back pain and I wasn't utilizing so much hamstring in my hip thrust or in any of my motions that were specifically for my glutes. Like, yes, they would be touched, but my hamstrings, they're so used to firing more than anything. Like, I had to train them for years just to fire to get the adductors out on stage. So when I do my training, it does the same thing. It wants to take on, kick on, do everything, take over for my glutes so that my glutes don't do the work. And it worked out for stage, but now I'm like, if I'm training glutes, I want my glutes to kick on first. And so that's what I've been working on. And now we're to a point where I'm up to, I got to post the video. Monday, I'm up to 5 45 plates on each side for my hip thrust. No lower back pain, no hamstring activation that I can physically feel, like an actual contraction, because I was feeling a contraction before, like I was doing a leg curl. It was that intense. And so that's what I look for in terms of my growth and my progress. So when it comes to, okay, do I need to lift this much weight? Maybe I don't. But my goal when I set the program was, if I want to do 10 to 15 reps, I'm going to work to add as much weight that's going to get me to have to fight to get the 10. I don't want to get the 10 easily. That's going to be my thing. So what I kept finding is, I'm like, okay, I may be stronger than I actually thought I was at this point. And so I was undershooting the not the rep range, because I was still getting to 15, but that's when I was like, okay, I could do more weight. But the key thing too is when you're starting to go for PRs and things like that, that confidence factor definitely plays a role. And I'm like, do I have the capability of getting this with clean form by myself without a spot? Okay, let's assess that. And then once I did it, I'm like, all right, bet I can move up on the weight, because I know I had that. I can do it by myself. I move forward. Now, what I've done these last 2 weeks is have my husband come spot me, because the key thing is, if I'm looking for the PR and I haven't found it yet, I gotta know that somebody has my back to rack that machine when you're fatigued and you don't know, am I racked? Am I gonna fall down and break a hip? Like that type of thing. So that's when I have my spot come in. Okay, my husband or one of my friends in the gym just kind of watch me and make sure when I lift up for that last rep, they plug it in for me. So far I'm loving the program. I am going to, after December ends, so December 30th, I'm going to switch programs just to see, because I'm in like the whole, like I said, freedom era. So I get to see, all right, I want to try this over here. I want to try this, see what this does, go back to this. So what I'm doing next, I'm going to go to German volume training. Now, German volume training is where you do opposing exercises, but it's pretty much you're doing, like say on my leg day, it would be 10 sets of 10 squats, 10 sets of 10 hamstring curls, or some type of hamstring variation. So you're getting the front of the leg and the back of the leg. Now, when I was looking at it, I was like, okay, let me go back and count how many sets I'm already doing. So I was looking at some of the programs. It would have, you would do, when I go on Google and I go through research, it had one program where you were going to do a compound movement, and then you did 3 exercises that were like just accessories. So if you did a deadlift for 10 sets of 10, you would go do 3 sets of leg extensions, 3 sets of ham curls, 3 sets of RDL, something like that. But this one, I was like, that just doesn't seem like enough, since my body is so conditioned to lifting for progressive overload and low rest, and now lifting heavier weights. It kind of doesn't really, I was like, that's not going to be enough. But for me, I also have to recognize I may not need to do, I probably don't need to do as much as I do, but I like it. And so if I like it, why am I going to change it? So that's my process with that. So what I'm switching to on December 31st, I'm going to do same concept of leg day, upper body day, lower body day, but I'm going to do my German volume training on that Monday, and then follow up with accessory work, well, my main back and shoulders, and then follow up with accessory work on that Friday, and just see kind of what that does for growth. According to the research, you're only supposed to do German volume training for like 4 to 6 weeks. I'm going to just do 4. So I'll do it from January all the way through the very beginning of February. February, I'm planning on just seeing what the growth feels like, seeing what the strength feels like. But I think by that time, I'll have enough mass and a good quality of strength that I'm comfortable with, to where I don't need to add any more weight load to my joints, because then I'm going to be focusing on even more functionality. So I got all the meat and potatoes that I wanted to stir up. I got the bone, probably is increasing bone density as well. But everything is kind of where I want it to be and big enough for me. And now I'm going to kind of just work the process in terms of time and attention, pause, reps, and different training styles, so that I don't have to put any more weight on my spine. Because I'm good at that 5 plates. I don't need to go any more than that. I'm just going to work within that range, and I know where my max is. Well, no, I don't actually know my 1 rep max is, but again, it's like I don't need to know where that is. I'm just going to work within that rep range and find whatever weight for that day is going to get me to that 10 reps. That's what I'm looking for. So that's been that training program. So I'm excited to see what the German volume training feels like. I feel like it'll keep it how I really want it to be in terms of very balanced now. Because now that, like I said, I've got the glutes up, the strength is there, they'll grow on their own time and just do their own thing. I'll keep pushing them and training them within the same rep ranges, and see where the growth comes from there. But it's not something I need to just hyper focus on anymore, because I did that for 3 months. And so I'll just keep in the movements that got me to where I am now, the strength that I am now. But I'll also just change it up a little bit, get different type of activations in there. All right, let's scroll down. The cool part too also is I dropped my step count, 4,000 steps every day. So that has been, I was nervous about it at first, but it actually was fine. I think with the intensity that I'm putting in multiple leg days, that's another benefit to multiple leg days. You actually burn more calories because it's a bigger body parts. And for me, when I work glutes, it takes my calorie count out to the roof. Like it working my glutes drains so much energy for me. Like not even quads, not hamstring, glutes specifically. Even when they were low reps, high reps and low weight, it is draining because the muscle is just so big on me. It's literally basically my whole body. So now that I've been training this way, I found that I don't need as much general movement because the effort has been put in during my workout. And so I haven't seen like wild fluctuations in weight. The only exception, of course, would be like ovulation time, period times. That'll be like 3 pounds, but you can tell, like, I was like, okay, that's just water weight from the period. Now on that same thing, I will say, back to like the period stuff. So post-show, a lot of people I know their periods take a while to come back on. Mine came back on like 3 weeks, little over 3 weeks immediately. So cut off 2 weeks was the last, 2 weeks before the O was the last one. And then I came back on at 3 weeks after. So total of, that's probably my longest period. I've had like 38 days in between. Usually it's like 24, 25 now. So that's kind of just showed me how healthy my prep was and how my body is functioning really well. So I was excited about that. So we're already 2 periods down, going on the 3rd period. After this 3rd period, I will get my blood work done now just to make sure like my vitamin D is still working, like my vitamin D levels are in a good place, everything is optimal and everything feels good. So that way we can continue down the road and make sure that when it is time to have my babies and everything, all my ducks are in a row. So that was good news for me and I was excited about that, just making sure everything is functioning. Hunger cues are where they are. I'm always hungry, so that's kind of just a general thing. It doesn't matter if you just up my food, I'm gonna be hungry regardless. Like I'm hungry now and my food was just upped on Sunday. So it is what it is, you get used to it, but it's just cool to just see like how I was able to transition so easily. And I think it is solely because I didn't change things that I was comfortable with. And I think that a lot of people, when they retire, when they step away from the sport, it was something that they didn't like within the sport that was actually more good than bad for them. For me, all of the structure, the training, everything that came with my bodybuilding career was good for me and something that I always wanted to maintain. The only thing I was stepping away from is the intensity and the hyper focus that I needed to get to where I've gotten to. And that alone, just taking the pressure off of myself. I never felt pressure from anyone else. Nobody can ever put pressure on me. Not anybody. So it was a pressure I was putting on myself to make sure I accomplished what I had in my mind. And once I removed that, I slept like a baby. I get 95 sleep scores all day, every day now. And it's almost like I'm in hyperdrive. Like I'm able to produce more content for Instagram. I'm able to put these videos out over here, educate over here, pour more into all my different avenues and all my different businesses and my family as well. And so I think that's the most interesting part, because a lot of people, they retire and they kind of just like, oh, relax. I'm like working even harder than I was before. So it's been cool to see, but it's just, the thing is, I enjoy it. And I think people who enjoy intense things tend to get a bad rap, but it's like, if we want to be intense and we're not hurting nobody, why does it matter? So that's the way I look at it. I'm just an intense person, and I love that for me. So it is what it is. Now, also, I did start running. So that running journey, that was probably the main thing I was nervous about, more so just from the impact that you get on the knees from just running, but also just not having run in a decade was nerve-wracking, I will say. So that first run I went and I was like, okay, just move your feet and don't stop for the 20 minutes. Just don't stop. That was my only goal. Don't stop. And once I got through that again, it's like confidence builder. It's like, okay, you know for a fact, your very first day out, you can run for 20 minutes straight. You can do that. Now it's like, okay, the athlete in me, can I go a little bit faster? Can I cover more ground? Like, can there be some type of variable where you push for more? And even since I'm trying to get more into, I'm just not a balance. I do balance, but I know this fuck is overrated. I do sometimes, because my structure is my runs are after my second leg day. So sometimes I'm extremely sore. In those moments, I'm like, okay, still give it everything you have, which is my 100% for that day. And if you are extremely sore, it is what it is. Get out and enjoy the run. Don't focus so much on the time. Like, yeah, move at a great pace, but more so kind of soak up the sun, enjoy the experience, and just the endorphins from running. So I find a more of a balance with my running, I will say. Instead of making everything so intense all the time, I've kind of found a little bit more 95-5 where I'm able to take 5% more of kind of like, all right, girl, you don't need to be Usain Bolt right now. You're not about to go run a marathon. You're not about to run the Olympics. Chill out. Like, it's okay. But I also don't like to slip into that mentality, because then you are in the mentality of just being like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just not my vibe. I will say that. It's not my vibe. So the runs overall have been good. I managed to jump, I think the first mile, the first day was 11 minutes and 30 seconds. I dropped down the second time I ran to 9 minutes and 40 seconds. And the fastest mile I've done so far is 9 minutes and 20 seconds. So progress is being made. I've run, the first time I also was only I covered like a mile in like 1.7 miles. And I was like, okay, but then eventually the next time it was 2.2 miles. And so I'm covering more space within that time frame, which is really good for me, which I'm excited about. So overall, it's been able to keep me functional, because at the end of the day, I don't want big old legs and a big old lower body that I can't move. I don't want a big old legs, big old lower body that I can't function with up top. Because at the end of the day, the more meat I gain down here, that's overall body weight. And for me, functionality wise, I should be able to lift my own body weight multiple times when it comes to like my pulls and things like that. So I want to be overall functional, not just bottom heavy for me. And so that's kind of like letting my body take its full athletic form in terms of keeping my power on the top and creating even more power on the bottom, because more power on the bottom actually helps me lift better up top. It helps me function better because my hips are stronger, my low back is stronger, my quads are stronger. So all those things help me jump and run and move faster, more efficiently. So that's a large portion of, besides aesthetics and wanting to get my glutes back to where they were back in the day or bigger, and my legs back in the day or bigger, is just keeping that functionality while I gain that muscle back and gain that strength back. That's super important for me. All right. Let's scroll on down. Now, what I did find is, back to what I was talking about earlier, when I do a deload week, and it may not be your technical term for deload, but when I've done heavy weight loads for 2 weeks, that third week I go back to how I trained these last years, which is high reps, progressive overload within the frame, not necessarily week to week. I didn't need that because I wasn't trying to grow. And low rest. So that's like your 15 to 25 range, superset everything, and just move boom, 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 boom. So what I found is that is still by far way more intense than lifting 5 plates and hip thrusts. It's way more intense. It tears me up. I'm talking about out of commission. And so I enjoy that intensity because it's also just kind of a testament to how my training was intense, though for some it looked like it wasn't. Not my concern. That it was the intensity that a lot of people couldn't recreate if they were to do the same program. And so it showed me like, all right, lifting the heavy weight is cool, but this is actually more intense for my frame and my muscles. So that's been cool to see and prove to myself as we've been going on through this process. So let's see. Oh, I also went into, okay, I'll go over that too. I also went into, dang, I forgot what I was gonna say. Let me see if I run past it. Oh, I had it. Oh, yes. So Fridays, I do a couple of Fridays since my weight load is a little bit less on those Fridays, where I don't use my belt, because like I said, for functionality purposes. Right now, I don't mind if my waist does get a little bit more functional, which aka sometimes means a little bit thicker for certain people. Now, by no means is my waist like thick ever, but it doesn't need to be the same size it was on stage, because right now I'm like, all right, stronger spinal erectors means I'm more efficient. I may need more oblique for any of my twisting motions or anything like that, where I need to function a little bit more and a little bit better and quicker. And so it's more so that mental shift of function versus aesthetic. And so what I started to do was, on certain days, on Fridays, I would switch to not wearing my belt, because I'm a 24/7 belt wearer, and that's an exaggeration. Anytime I'm lifting weights or doing cardio, my belt is on. That's just how I move. And so a couple of Fridays out of the month, I will take my belt off and really try to take my mind to the muscle and do a full abdominal control as if my belt were on, but it's not on. But that way I'm able to focus on doing all the movements and all the power things without having extra support. And so that to me is even more athletic, because if I'm running out in the street or I need to pick something up or move something quickly, I'm able to do that without any support, because you won't have it then. So it's not like if I'm running from strangers, I'm gonna all of a sudden put my belt on, you know? So it's kind of just making sure that all the muscles that need to work are working properly. And so that's why I've started to not use my belt on sometimes, but on my Mondays, that's my heavier weight loaded days, or my more spinal compression days, that's when I make sure I put my belt on, because at the end of the day, I still don't want my spine kind of just pushing on each other. My lordosis is very extreme, and I don't want to aggravate it, because it's good where it's at, but I don't want to kind of compress too much. And so I'm also conscious of that when it comes to like trying to keep my quads in check with my hamstrings, because I can't put, let's rephrase, I will not put too much on my knees and too much on my spine, because that will have me going in the opposite direction of where I'm trying to go, which is forward. So I'm very cautious of still utilizing the same techniques in terms of how slow I do a movement, how in just like the time and attention to all those different techniques when it comes to my quads. Hamstrings and glutes, I can get away with a lot more on those. But when it comes to my quads, it's like, okay, I just feel the muscle. You know it's going to grow regardless. And push to a good extent, but not to where you have knee pain or spinal pain or just any type of pain. I just watch for things like that because that's not going to be a good indicator of where I'm trying to go. All right, so fast forward. So now, like, food-wise. Y'all, like I said, I like to do my plan. And so I said, okay, a couple weeks ago, this is probably like 4 weeks into it. It's like around, was it like maybe before Thanksgiving? I was like, okay, we're doing a cheat meal once a week. I do my cheat meal once a week. And then my husband, he was like, okay, baby, I'm going to go ahead and get his cheat meal was on a different day than mine. Now he's moved it so that we have date night and everything. But it was like a Saturday. I was like, okay, you know what? You can go have a little burger and a salad. Your second cheat meal for the week. I've done this now. That's my second time I did it. First time I was like, okay, this is cute. Like, all right, I got the salad bowl, whatever from Cava. The second time I had the burger, and then I told my coach, I said, Coach, I had an extra burger and fry and a salad. And he was like, good job, kid. I said, I think I'm at my 2%. Because I'm really like a 100% disciplined person. So I'm trying to get to where I can allow for a 2% deviation. But I'm actually really comfortable with 1%. And that's what I found when it even came to like Thanksgiving and stuff. Like, the amount of care my family does not have for me not eating with them is substantial. Like, they do not care. They've been used to it for 18 years. Especially, like, seriously, the last decade. Like, they do not care what I'm eating when I'm with them. I'm there. I planned it. So, that's what I learned is, like, if it's a holiday, half the time I don't really want to eat that food. Like, I'm good with cornbread. I can make that cornbread by myself and eat it in peace. Like, I'd rather just shower everybody, talk, and have fun in the game. So, I'm still a person who does not like to, and I learned this too, I'm still not the person who likes to be talked to while I'm eating. Or just people talking around me while I'm eating. Just be, shh. I'm not that person. I'm not it. I'll wait to eat. I will sit with you and I will wait to eat. I'm not that person. I don't know if I'll ever be that person. We shall see. Because you shouldn't talk and eat anyway. That's putting air in your stomach. That's my logic. So that's what I found is I'm actually really good with my 1 day a week. And even now I'm to the point where it's like, do I even want to eat as much? Like, I eat less than I have ever eaten ever. But I'm doing even more work as a retiree than I did when I was in prep and everything like that. So that's what I've also learned. Let me see. Gotta roll through. Yep. Okay. So that's pretty much that. I went over the holiday stuff. Yeah. Okay, so to wrap all this up, the answer to the question is no, not at this point. I don't plan to ever do wellness because if the wellness criteria is a bigger lower body and substantially smaller upper body, that's never going to work for me because I'm not losing any of the muscle that I work for, specifically because my quality of life would falter. It's also because I want to look like a superhero up top too, and not just on the bottom. And so I like a balanced look for me. It doesn't have to be extremely balanced. Like, of course, my legs will eventually get even bigger than my shoulders and my back, like they've always been when I was a little girl. So I'm not concerned about that. But in terms of shrinking my upper body, that is never going to be a goal for me. So the answer is no. I will not be going to wellness. I know everybody wants to see it. I won't be doing it, but also by the time, if I ever come back to the stage, it won't be for at least another 10 years, 10, 15 years. And we don't know what categories will exist by then, what the body types will be. 9 times out of 10, I'm already one of the smaller figure competitors anyway, so I definitely wouldn't be able to come back to figure. I also wouldn't be balanced enough to come back to figure, if that is still the look and the criteria. So we will see what comes up next, but overall, retirement has been great. I've been able to, as soon as we got back from the Olympia, I flew to Greece. After that, I flew up to New York like the next day to speak at JP Morgan and Chase Women's Leadership Conference, which was amazing. I ran into a lot of people I went to school with at Penn and a lot of other graduates that I've known just coming up through my undergraduate career, and to see where we all are now is fascinating. The fun part is having not been in our business school, which is the number one business school in the world, Wharton, to end up still in those same spaces. And so it's pretty cool, and it's a testament to say, as long as you got the charisma and the brain to do it, no matter what has been put in your place, you can navigate and still end up in the spaces that you want to be in the first place, just not going the same route. So I think that was a cool thing for me to see, and which I already knew, a cool thing for me to see and have that just really, really come to the forefront. And so now we're turning into a time of still focus on my health, but now it's going into show season, where I have my Peach Classic coming up in May 31st, and we have my Triple O Dynasty Pro Show, where we're giving away a minimum of $9,000 to our first place open winner. And so that's really been at the forefront, on top of the Women's Workshop coming up in January. Then the Arnold's coming up. Then I have a couple seminars coming up around the country. So there's a lot kind of parlaying, and also getting ready to relaunch we took a break this next year, relaunch my Cydney Gillon Flawless Retreat. So that'll be coming up. We're moving that to the States. So it's just been a lot of business, and just ripping and running, and just making sure that everything is coming together, and then making sure my husband is good, and because he's about to start school and is looking for these jobs and things like that. So it's really just making sure everything is running like a well-oiled machine around me in personal life and in business. But overall, it's been great. I will get more consistent again with these once I figure out. I got to get a couple more ducks in row for the rest of my businesses. And once that gets done, I'll probably try to get at least a couple videos. Let's say I can commit to at least one video a month. I definitely commit to that. But I'll start doing some more questions, some frequently asked questions, and getting those put up on here so y'all can reference them, especially for my newbies who are coming into this sport and need more information and a little bit more guidance. So I'll be here for that. But now it is time for me to go read my book before I start working, and then head to the gym, and then work again, and then head back home, rinse, and repeat. All right, y'all. Hope y'all enjoyed it. That's my update. See ya.